All right, guys. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? Um, First of all, I think I should have like some sort of intro sound to be like dun 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 sound, but we don't have one yet. I think we'll be fine. We'll be fine till maybe next year. Hopefully next year I have like an intro jingle or something. But yeah, how are you doing today? We're very very close to the new year. We know yes, Christmas is great, but everybody has their eyes on like 2025 already. And there's a lot of pressure, a lot of tension, that. Today it's 20th, right? And at the time of recording this, we have like a week. We have like a week and 4 days to the new year, and it can be a lot of pressure. So, how are you doing with all of this? If you're somebody who is not pressured, like how are you actually doing it? You understand? Like let's every other person know. But yeah, it's so great to have everybody back today on the pod. So today, right, the goal is simple. The goal is very simple. The goal is to give you like actionable steps and tips to actually prep for the new year. Now, this is something that I tried myself last year, and it really helped give me better perspective as to what I was going to do for 2024. Like I said, we have like a week and 4 days, so that's pretty much like 11 days from the day of recording this to like New Year. A lot of things can happen in 11 days. So yeah, I'm rooting for you. This episode is called New Year Prep, right? And the goal is to prep you for the new year. Now, how does one prep for the new year? Self-reflect, think about everything that's happened the last year, the things you want to change, the things you want to change, have like a New Year resolution, and pray, I guess. Like go to church and pray and sleep in church from 31st to the 1st, just to be sure that you make it safely across. And I get that. In fact, what I'm going to be giving you today is not very, very different. It's more like an upgraded version of everything I just said. The whole self-reflection and making a list. These are things that have been tested like over time. And that's why they're even a thing. The theme for this pod, right? The theme for this particular episode is New Year resolution. And definitely it's something that we want to like pray for. But, my goal here is to give you context, give you perspective, give you actionable steps, things that you can actually do to get started. All right. So let's actually walk back a little and look at the history behind resolutions. All right. You'd be surprised that the history behind resolutions actually goes as far back as the meaning of the word January. January was a name that was derived from the name of the Roman god Janus. And Janus is the god of like beginnings and transitions, pretty much. So if you go online and you typed out Janus, you would actually see the image of like a person that was facing both forwards and backwards. And that's kind of like the spirit of like January, that spirit of transitions. And the idea was, that January was supposed to be a time for like reflection. You look back in time, and then look forward in time. That's pretty much the idea of January. That's where January started from. So you can see that transitions or resolutions or even the whole idea of starting afresh in January, this is something that has been an idea, like a core part of history as far back as the invention of the name itself, January. All right. So how do we approach January, and how do we really resolve, right, to do stuff? Because again, according to like stats, over 50% of people who actually set resolutions do not fulfill their resolutions at the end of the year. It's very, very likely that we are going about like setting New Year resolutions the wrong way. And I'm not here to give you like quote unquote the right way. I'm actually here to give you an alternative, like another way you could actually go about it. In fact, by February you should know if it's working. Anyways, let's actually get into it. So the first thing you actually need to do, at least from my perspective, where I'm standing, or the first thing I would actually share here that you should do, is that you actually talk to yourself. I don't mean self-reflection. This is how people approach self-reflection and why I think it's not efficient enough. People think self-reflection is you take some time out and just think about your life. Think about the last 3 months, think about the last 6 months, and then you just like take notes of all the things that you liked and things you didn't like. And then all the things you didn't like, you then start making up a list and say, yeah, I wanted to do this. And no, that's how people approach self-reflection. Keyword here is conversation. I'm not asking you to look back at your life as a picture, right? But look back in a conversational manner. So talk to yourself. have like actual questions. Like sit down and write out questions. Like write out actual questions. If you need a list of questions, I could even give you like a list of questions. Write them down. And I'm really serious about writing them down. Write them down. After you write them down, take some time out. It might actually help to even ask your friends. There is no harm in asking a friend or asking somebody. There is zero harm in doing that, right? Sometimes I feel like we overcompensate for how much we think we know ourselves. There's this whole quote about, oh, no one knows you better than you know yourself. That's not true. No one knows how you think better than you know how you think. No one knows how your mind works better than you know how your mind works. Yes. But a man is not just a sum of how he thinks. A man is a summation of how he thinks, what he does, what his values are. You get, so what he thinks, what he does, why he does them. And whether you believe it or not, all you pretty much have full awareness of is how you're thinking. You really do not understand your behaviors or your behavioral patterns as much as people who watch you and people who see you live life, right? And it's very, very important that you understand your behavior. And you can't understand your behavior without asking people. Your behavior is, quote unquote, the filter for your thoughts. If you think about 10,000 things in a day, right? And you do 200, those 200 things that you did are the most essential thoughts you thought that day, right? Because they were revealed in the things that you did. And because some of those things are subconscious, some of these things you're not really paying attention, you are actually not aware. Only people who are watching you live will be like, okay, you have the tendency to do this. When you're angry, this is probably how you behave. When you are like, this is how you behave. When you are too excited, you make like terrible decisions. Only people outside of your mind would look at that and be able to tell you that. Now you need to have that information, take that information, go back, reflect on them, and then adjust accordingly. All right. So asking your friends is never a bad thing to do. All right. You see, now this gives you like a broader and a better perspective to who you are. Something that you can actually go back and start making actionable plans with. Right. As a guest, you just sitting down in a room and just thinking about your life and just making up a list based off of what you think about your life, right? So talk to yourself, ask yourself questions, write the questions down, ask your friends if necessary, come back, reflect on those questions, and then answer the questions. Write down the answers. Like, again, I'm trying to emphasize on the writing, and I'll tell you why in a bit. Write the answers down. Now, this is what writing does for me. Writing helps you slow down and collect your thoughts. Right? We think very fast. We think faster, maybe even faster than the speed of light. Like, our thoughts are fast, period. Right? So when you think things through, you are thinking in a very, very blurry state. Think about like the Flash. If you ever saw the Flash, when he runs and you see that whole blur, it's not really clear, but you know there's movement happening, right? That is not the state in which you want to make decisions. That is not the state in which you want to think. That is not the stage or state in which you want to actually condense your thoughts. And that's what a pen and paper helps you do. A pen and paper helps you slow down, all right, and focus on the words that you're saying. If it's really important to you, all right, whatever that thing is, use a pen and paper, please. It kind of just helps you condense your thoughts, all right? I'll give one extra tip. This tip might not work for everybody, depending on how you use ChatGPT. This might work for you, this might not, all right? But if you're somebody who's used ChatGPT like a lot, all right, believe it or not, ChatGPT already has enough information about you to give an educated guess about you. And I know it sounds scary, but you can use it to your advantage, right? You can actually use it raw to your advantage. Your friends, because they don't want to hurt your feelings, right? They might not give it to you like straight up. But if you tell ChatGPT, give it to me like very, very objectively. You guys don't try to make it sound nice or anything like that. ChatGPT will give it to you. That's the only advantage that I would say that right now ChatGPT will have over like your friends. You get, it's easy to take it hard when it's coming from a machine. You have no emotional attachment to the machine, unless you do, which would be weird, but you should not. So these are like 5 questions. You can start from here. You could add yours, but these 5 are great, really great. Question number 1: what do you think my strengths are? Number 2, in what areas do you think I can improve? Number 3, where do you think I sabotage myself? Number 4, what's one thing I can stop doing that would benefit me the most? Number 5, what's that one thing I should start doing? Those are the questions, right? I'll probably send it to newsletter people who subscribe to newsletter. Yeah, so that's that for step 1. So that was step 1, talk to yourself, right? That's actually step 1. What's step 2 then? Step 2 is to make a list, right? To make a to-do list, to make your resolution list. I learned this like 2023. I feel like we have a problem with trying to make resolutions like a to-do list, and there is nothing wrong with a to-do list. It's just, if you listen to the questions I just asked, a couple of the things that you might need to do are not things that you need to do. Let me break that down for you. Sometimes what you need for next year is to double up on the things that you did this year, right? Sometimes what you need for next year might not be to start something new. It might be to stop something. Like, that might be what you actually need. And I feel like when we think about like resolutions and we're thinking, oh, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. When you think in terms of what the things you want to start, what you're doing is you are unconsciously piling things up on things that you already have going on. You've piled up 5 years worth of things to start, and you're wondering why you can't actually keep up with any of them. So what should your new year, quote unquote, to-do list have, right? You have a list of things that you want to start, and I'm sure we already know that, right? Number 2, you should have a list of things that you want to stop. Number 3, you should have a list of things that you don't want to start. Stay with me. Number 4, you should have a list of things that you don't want to stop. Now let's break everything down, right? There are some kind of things that you know that you're doing that you should not be doing. And if only you should stop doing them, you know your life would be 10 times better. Why not make it your resolution to actually stop doing those things? Why not just stop lying, right? And just say, okay, this year I'm going to stop lying. I'm going to stop being dishonest. I'm going to stop cheating people. It's a lot easier to stop something than it is to start something. I mean, think about all the goals you've had so far. Like, how many of them have you had to stop? Did you even have to think about them before stopping? No, you probably have to think. You just stopped. So, at the end of the day, you are probably losing a lot of brain power and losing a lot of capacity because you're thinking about things in terms of actions, actionable steps. Sometimes you need actionable stops, right? You need things that will just stop you in your tracks. Oh, that was good. You need things that will like stop in your tracks, things that will just help you stop. You get? So that's that for like stops. Number 3, you need a list of things that you should not start. And I know this sounds weird, but it helps with, setting boundaries. You need a list of things that you should not start. Again, based off of what you know about yourself and based off of what you hear from people, there are some tendencies that for instance, that, I don't want this to happen next year. This might have happened this year, and I know I have a tendency to have it happen next year, but I don't want to have to deal with this next year. So you could say for you, it might be in new relationship. You might say, okay, next year, I don't want to have a romantic relationship up until so time. I just want time alone with myself to like chill and, that's great. You don't have to start anything. I think the word I'm trying to avoid using is revolution. You don't need to start a revolution, right? To have a resolution. You don't need to like start something generally. Sometimes it's just having a list of things that you don't need to start or things that you don't want to start really helps like give perspective to how you want your year to go. And that's what you need for a resolution, not just a to-do list, things that you must do. No, you need a list of things that should guide you emotionally, physically, psychologically, spiritually, financially, socially, all the other days. Yeah. But have a list of things you don't want to start. I don't want to start making friends with this kind of people anymore. I don't want to start a new project until I finish the last project I'm doing. Right? That's like a not start list. Alright? And then lastly, you have your not stop list. No, this is a feel good list. This is a list that makes you feel like, you are not all bad and you've been doing some things right. And I think it's important to have a list like that. It's important to have a list of the things that you would like to continue in the new year, the things that you would not want to stop. And again, you really need to look at your strengths. Remember the questions we just asked your friends. Have a list of those questions. Ask your friends, okay, what do you think are things that are my strengths and things that I should keep doing? And based off of what you know of yourself and what your friends tell you and what you have in your self-reflection conversation, come up with a list of things that you don't want to stop. Like say, I don't want to stop making music. I don't want to stop my podcast. I don't want to stop calling my friends and praying for them like I used to. I don't want to stop doing this. I don't want to stop doing that. At the end of the day, you realize that you have like a very, very robust list. And here's something you would realize, right? And it's something that blew my mind when I thought about it, right? I just thought about like 4 different lists you should have, like the start, the stop, the not start, and the not stop. Do you know that if you took away the start, like if you didn't start anything new next year, and you focused on stopping some things, you focused on not starting some things, and you focused on not stopping some other things, you'll have a good year. Anyways, right? So, yeah. I just wanted to just point that out, that the way we've been making this list, you probably might have making it the wrong way, but it's not too late to like make a better list. So I'll just repeat that one more time. Start, things you should start, things you should stop, things you should not start, and things you should not stop. After you make the list, right? Like I said, like after you do all that, now you're going to go back, right, to your start list. This is like step 3, right? This is step 3. And you're going to go back to your start list, and then you're going to expand that list. Yeah, you're just going to stretch the list out. You want to expand that list. So let's say you have a list of 3 things that you want to start this year. You don't want this to be too many. A big goal is just the sum of other smaller goals, and a small goal is a sum of smaller steps. Small goals with small steps will help you achieve your big goal, right? So just the same way we've been able to compartmentalize or reduce large goals to small goals, you should be able to reduce your goals to small steps. And that's all we're going to do for this section. All you're going to do for this section is you're going to go back to your list and reduce all your goals into small steps. Reduce your goals from those big chunk of goals that they are into like smaller steps. So let's say, for instance, you want to start eating better, right? You could have a list and say, okay, make a list of what you want to eat instead. Have options, right, of the things you want to eat instead. After that, figure out how much it would take you to actually get these things, and figure out how much it would take you to maybe start cooking if you were someone who used to always eat out. Or even if you had to eat out, look for places where you can eat healthy and eat cheap outside if you must eat outside. Do that for all your goals. Do that for all the steps. If you can, reduce them till there is nothing more left to be reduced. Again, this is why I need a book. This is why I need a whole book for this, because you have to reduce and reduce and reduce. You want to reduce to the point that you have steps that you can literally just get up and do, right? That's how much you want to reduce it. If you say, oh, find out where I can buy food, for instance, you can reduce that even further by saying, okay, call 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. They might know places where you can eat out and eat good food. This puts a little bit of functionality into the goal setting, where you know that you are accountable not just to yourself now, but to this very, very long list of check boxes that you have to tick. Right? It really helps. It really helps. I know it sounds very, very mechanical, but it does help. And when you're done with having your list, tick the boxes. Remember, start small. I don't think there's any issue with starting. If you've been listening to this podcast and you are still asking me, oh, how do I get started? You're not ready. Do you understand? You're not ready. Because we spent like almost 3 episodes just talking about getting started. All you need to get started is to get started. You don't really need a lot to get started. Getting started is easy, right? Staying, in the process is a little bit more difficult to talk about that, in further episodes. But getting started is very simple. You just have to get started. You just have to get started. So have your list, but start very small. It really helps to start small. Again, research has shown that not even just research, like psychologists will tell you that it's like Goals that are small, realistic, actionable are actually the goals that get accomplished. Small goals for the win. Remember, like I said, small lists of small goals with small steps. Small lists, right? Of small goals with small steps. You're not trying to start a revolution. It's a resolution, right? Always keep that in mind. You're not trying to revolve or do a complete 360, right? All you're really trying to do is resolve. You're trying to make sense of what you already do and trying to figure out how to make the best of the life that you already have, right? That's such a good word. So don't beat yourself up. Don't overstress. Don't sweat it too much. Alright, you have to calm down, take a step at a time, and I promise you, you'd have a better New Year resolutions list, a more actionable New Year resolutions list. Something that you'll be surprised at, if you keep at it, you might even be done with some of your goals by March or even by April, right? Right? So there's nothing wrong with having resolutions, but have them in a more efficient manner and you get more efficient results. So yeah, thank you very much for listening to the episode. It's great to get to talk to you guys every time I get to come on here and chat. I see all the stats, I see all the numbers, so I know that you're here. And I'm grateful for every single person that's listening, even right now. If you can, please share this episode to somebody that you think would need it, to somebody that you know would need to hear it. Share it to somebody, share it to your friends, share it to your family, or share it on your WhatsApp status, share it on Instagram, share it on Facebook. And yeah, just have other people come in and, learn to make better goals for the new year. I'm rooting for you this new year. I know you do amazing things. I know you get started on all those things that you've been planning to start this entire time. And I know it's going to be great. Alright? Yeah. Let's go. Alright, so that's about it for today's episode. Thank you again for joining in. Something else I would want to mention is we have a website. I know I've talked about the website a lot. If you look in the link for the description for this podcast, the link to the website is going to be there. The link to join the community is going to be there as well, which is the one I actually want you to actually click, because I'm writing a couple of newsletters every week to, people in the Sayit community who want to get a lot more than just what we get every Friday, right? So, in the next newsletter, I would probably give a little bit more in terms of resources or setting goals, just like we talked about, this New Year prep. I'm thinking of putting a couple of ChatGPT prompts that I have used personally myself, that's giving me a lot of clarity on some of the things I'll be doing for next year and just doing in my life generally. And I'll just be sharing a little bit more than I share every Friday here. So if you're interested in that, just click on the link and join the community. If you're not, it's fine. Just tune in every Friday and you'll be fed as well, because we're always cooking. So thank you for joining. This is the Sayit podcast. It's the number one culture sense, Christ-centered, community-serving podcast on the internet. I am your host, Smiles. It's always a pleasure to have you. Now let's pray and get out of here. All right, let's pray. So dear God, dear Father, I thank you. I thank you because the goals that we have for next year, they're all achievable. Whether we can see the way to them or not, everything is possible. I will just thank you because that even as we make our goals, we know that you are in control of how they turn out. So we thank you ahead of time, knowing that there are some of these goals that we may not attain, and there are some that we might. I thank you because even beyond the goals that we have for ourselves, that there are plans that you have for us. And those are the ones we actually look forward to because we don't even know what to expect. Thank you for such a wonderful year. Thank you for Christmas. Thank you for the new year. Thank you for everyone that's listening. It's been a hectic year, but you've helped all of us. So just pray that you continue to help us even this week. Thank you again. In Jesus' name. Amen. Alright guys, go out there and have a lovely weekend. Bye.